FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today's April 12th, 2017. So war clouds are on the horizon. Elections coming up in France, finally. We'll finally get to find out just how widespread the populist movement really is becoming. And nothing like an election to tell you that. And to tell us more is Andrew Hoffman. Andy, good morning.
Oh, God, all those things. And don't forget the government shutdown and the debt ceiling and the end of all the Trumpflation, proposals. Where do you want to, where should we start? You're the host. Tell me where you want to start. There's too many things.
Let's start with Le Pen, because that one I find fascinating because it just shows how trends change. She was literally untouchable a year ago, even 6 months. No one was listening to her. She was fringe, and now she's becoming the mainstream. So that I find fascinating. I really do. That
I'm not sure about 6 months ago that she was fringe. Certainly
a year ago, for sure.
Certainly 2 years ago, she was still associated with her lunatic father. And it's gotten to the point now where even when she says the kind of things that her father might have said now, it's kind of like when Trump would say something ridiculous before the election, people just don't care anymore. And and I will say, as far as, I'm going to tout my record again. I was one of the few people saying Trump would win and that the BrExit would pass.
And I, don't forget, I didn't say BrExit, but I did say Trump. Yes.
And I yesterday, everyone needs to read my article because everyone knows my feelings about this. And again, like in the Dutch election, I wasn't really sure what was going on. I don't know the Dutch people. And I knew that Geert Wilders was never going to get a coalition government, even if he won. But this one I've been following a lot more. And although I don't have a feel for French politics, I certainly been watching. And it's been my very strong belief that she's going to win for some time now. And yesterday's article, everyone's got to read. It's called Marine Le Pen, the potential Brexit times 100. And now we're talking about less than a month from now, because I believe that France, unlike, say, Holland, is in the worst state it's probably been in many lifetimes. We're talking about generation, going back to the heart of World War II. That's how bad things are there. I think the people are angrier than they've ever been before. And, we've been through this now between the Trump election and the Brexit election, the whole cycle of propaganda trying to discredit him and it and now her with the betting line odds and the polling. And in this case, it's more ridiculous than ever. First of all, the betting line odds on Trump and the Brexit never got above like 15 or 20%.
No, 5-1.
And she's been at 30% for some time. So already she's able to overcome, that bias against her more than the others. But when you look at who she's going against, she was initially going against, it was going to be this Francois Fillon. He's going to win, right? And you're like, who's France? Oh, he was the former prime minister. Now, prime minister in France is like vice president here. In France, it's president and then prime minister. It's kind of like in Russia. There's the president and then the prime minister. So this guy is not really that important of a guy, but everyone said he's going to win because he's mainstream. And then, of course, they just found out a few months ago that when he was in office, he was embezzling money from the parliament and giving it to his wife, who was then in parliament, just basically, fraud. And so
like
now
Hillary Clinton. It's like Hillary Clinton,
Yes,
the same
except
type
he
of
got
thing.
caught and charged. Yeah. And amazingly, he's still in the race and getting some votes, but he's gone.
He has a pulse, right? He's got a pulse. Yeah. They're keeping him in because they're hoping for the splitter effect.
Yeah. And it's kind of like here in the States, like let's say Hillary Clinton had actually been kicked out of the race for all of her crimes, right? Let's say Comey was not part of the system. Okay, what would they have done? They would have been like, okay, now we got Joe Biden and he's going to win, and the polling odds would immediately say he's going to win, and all the articles would say he's going to win. That's what would have happened here. So what they do there, they immediately switch to someone else and say, guaranteed this person's going to win. The main competitor, Marine Le Pen, is gone, so we'll find someone else and say he's going to win. So the guy that they said, this guy, he wasn't even really in the race in any real way until maybe a few months ago. Okay. The guy who they say is going to win, think about this, people. France, Okay, a nation that's known for revolution and fighting against tyranny and has the most angry population of youth and older people for many reasons: economic, immigration. They hate the European Union. This is who the state is now saying is going to win. This guy is named Emmanuel Macron. Okay,
Yeah.
he is now 39 years old, which in and of itself is ridiculous. Can you imagine anyone who's 39
Justin
years
Trudeau
old being able to run a major country, right?
Yeah, Justin Trudeau.
Is that guy in his 30s?
He might be early 40s. I don't remember.
But isn't his dad?
He's incompetent, though. He's totally incompetent. He's an idiot.
But was his dad Pierre Trudeau?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, well, that's why he's there. That's why George Bush became president,
Right,
and that's why Hillary Clinton.
Dynastic.
Right. Okay. So aside
45.
from that stuff,
Yeah.
and again, that's Canada, which really doesn't have too many real major issues compared to France, which is falling apart right now. Okay. So this guy, he's 39 years old, but not only that, first of all, his background is he's a total silver spoon in every way, shape, and fashion. He went to Oxford, and he's an investment banker. And then he got hired in 2014, which would have made him 36 years old, as the equivalent of Treasury Secretary of France. Now, again, if 39 was young, consider 36, okay? And he was brought in to be the treasurer of France. And this is only 2 years after the European financial crisis almost destroyed all of Europe, okay? And who did he serve under? Francois Hollande, who has the lowest, okay?
Are you right? Are you making this stuff up, Andy? I mean, this is like a comedy.
That's why it's so ridiculous.
This is a comedy.
Yeah. So Francois Hollande, for anyone who doesn't know yet, is the one-term president of France who is not even running for re-election for two reasons. One, he has the lowest approval rating in the history of France presidents, which is saying one thing. And two, because he made a promise, I think when he started, that if unemployment is above 9% when I leave, I won't run for re-election. And well, what do you know? It's way above 10%. So he just gave up. Okay. Most politicians would try anyway. He gave up. And his equivalent of Treasury Secretary was this silver spoon investment banker, nobody, 36-year-old named Emmanuel Macron. Okay. So now all of a sudden they come in and say, he's going to be the president. He's ahead in the polls. There's no way Marine Le Pen could beat him. And I'm going, really? Does anyone really believe that this guy would be elected to be the president of France? Okay. But either way, so what you have in France going on, there's a four-way race now, okay? And two people will win the first round, which is April 23rd, which is only, 10 days from now. And then you have the second round where the final two go head-to-head. So you have, Marine Le Pen's going to be one of those two. Then you have Macron, who's assumed to be the other one. But you know who's just moved up in the polls and is only
communist. The communist.
Right. Yeah, who they say his name is Mélenchon, who they said there's no way that this guy is even can. All of a sudden, his polling is rocketing up. So you have the far left guy and the far right girl that may well. And I wrote today, or yesterday, it's a low probability scenario, but in the land of revolution, you bet it could happen. So look, who knows what will happen? But I believe very strongly that the people of France are representative of a nation that is in dire distress and if you think the people of America are pissed off, I think the people of France are far more. And she just wants the kind of things that even Donald Trump wouldn't do. And I think she's going to win. And when it happens, that will be the end of the European Union. It will be the end of the euro currency as we know it. And it will likely be the end of the gold cartel.
Yeah. Well, it could be the end of a lot of things. And it's just, when you're going down the facts there, I'm thinking it sounds like something from the Tonight Show, from Jimmy Fallon or something, because you just can't make this stuff up. I mean, the least qualified people on the planet, they'll do anything to avoid the nationalist candidate taking charge there. They'll do anything, even boosting the commie in the polls, which is what they're doing, no doubt. I doubt that communist person has any more support than they ever got, because Hollande was pretty much a socialist commie, and they see where it's gotten them. So right. I don't believe that they're really looking towards more of the same. I think it's just jockeying in the polls.
Well, look, but if I'm saying if he wins that first round and beats Fillon, he likely will beat Fillon, and he may well surprise everyone and overtake Macron. Oh, that probably won't happen. But if he does, that's going to be good for Marine Le Pen. There's no way that guy, if he got there, would beat her. And so, look, we'll see what happens. But, you think about the votes we've had to deal with, start with the Greek vote and the Scotland vote and the Catalonian vote and the BrExit and the Trump. I mean, none of those pale in comparison. I called the Trump the BrExit times 10, which it is. Look what's going on in America and the world, notwithstanding the market manipulation that tried to stop it. But that doesn't even hold a candle. Donald Trump being the president of the United States, as opposed to Hillary Clinton, who would do the exact same things, doesn't even matter in the big scheme of things when you compare to what will happen in France and Europe. Because remember, first of all, she wins. It's all over in Italy. A minute later, when they announced those elections, Beppe Grillo's party is going to win in Italy. And of course, the Catalonian secession, which is scheduled to be voted on. I mean, the Spanish government says it's not allowed, but they're going to do it anyway. I think it's September. All these things are going to happen within months' time. And if she wins, it is over. I mean, it will be a shocking, scary, new, immediate world on May 8th if she wins. There's no two ways about it.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, for sure. For sure. I mean, as surprised as they were over Trump and freaked out, and they still are freaked out, it's going to be a lot worse when she does it. So,
okay, so that's part one of today. So now, do we move on to war?
Yeah, let's go to war. I mean, we're on the brink. It looks like with North Korea and with Syria, we just had a little pyrotechnic display, which I'm not sure what the real purpose of it was. But I'm thinking that there's a lot less to it than meets the eye. Put it that way.
Well, look at it this way. Again, we're not politicians here. I mean, you actually have a bit more experience in this, but we all watch the same stuff.
Yeah.
And, the whole thing with Trump was the day I helped him get elected because I just didn't want Hillary Clinton, in large part because I didn't want to go to war with Russia. But the fact is, he spent the whole time, saying, A, I want to increase the military budget off the charts, and B, I don't want military entanglements, no more nation building. So that's kind of contradictory. And he also said that he respected Vladimir Putin. So, again, everything he promised was done to get elected. We all know that. That's what politicians do. Mm-hmm. But that said, the amount of turnaround in this topic, forget look, I said in my Turning on Trump Audioblog 2 days after the election, he'll never get Obamacare repealed. He'll never get tax reform. He'll never get the fiscal stimulus, let alone as the debt ceiling. We're going to hit it probably in about 4 weeks from now, and that's going to be a cataclysm. That's another story there. But this whole thing of all of a sudden, going to war with everyone, when it is just I was writing about, I remember when George Bush, wanted to get us into war with Iraq, and he already had the no pun intended, the trump card of 9/11. So people would pretty much do anything he said. He still had to go through the motions of convincing us that there were weapons of mass destruction. The UN weapons people went in there, and Colin Powell, who everyone believed was Mr. Truth, said that it was there. And finally, the consensus built, and he went in and he bombed Iraq. And of course, it wasn't until years later where he admitted there were no weapons of mass destruction, and that Saddam Hussein had nothing to do with 9/11. But that took time to do, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas Donald Trump, who said a week earlier, Assad's cool, in a heartbeat, just in days, said, yep, he did that, and we're going to go bomb them. And of course, you look at it, and there's no evidence of it. No one has ever. Ron Paul says there's no evidence. No one says there's any evidence of it. So why is he doing this? And why is he provoking Russia and Iran, who are right there? I'm going to have more sanctions on you, and don't you dare defend Assad. I'm going, what do you think, Kerry? Why is he doing this? What does he want? Does he just want to spend that military budget of $600 billion to the penny, or what is it?
Yeah, well, I think everything that's going on with Putin and Syria is kind of for show, because now nobody's saying that he's a Russian agent, right? I mean, he got rid of that issue. That's kind of off the table, isn't it? And I think that's what it was about. So
but that's just your speculation. Maybe that's true. I mean, it could be that simple that he's totally that much of a dimwall that he's like, well, if I just bomb someone that Russia likes, and that means that everyone will like me. And yeah, of course, everyone comes out with the Congress and said this is great, and CNN says it's great, but it's not great. It's terrible because we're on the brink of war with Russia and Iran, and then you have the North Korea thing. It's not just North Korea, it's threatening China. You better do what we say with North Korea, and also threatening China about the South China Sea Islands. You better get out of those. I mean, why does he want all this war? There's nothing good that can come out of it.
Distraction, right? The ultimate distraction.
He said the economy is great. Look at the stock. He says, it's amazing. He's going during the campaign.
It's a bubble.
It's a fat, ugly bubble that the Fed has created. Then he comes in and goes, look at the stock market hitting a new all-time high. It's because of me. I mean, people just don't understand the lies that come out of these politicians, whether they're outsiders like him or insiders. But as it turns out, he's clearly not an outsider. I've said from day one, there's no one more personally leveraged to low interest rates and easy monetary policy than anyone in America. I mean, he's got this fortune of Mr. Debt, heavily leveraged real estate properties. So of course he's going to want a weak dollar and low interest rates and all that stuff. So, and look who he's surrounded himself with: half of Goldman Sachs and crony capitalists. He's got the richest cabinet. His cabinet alone is worth more than a bunch of countries. And now he's going to war with everyone. And it's just, and of course, all his policies are failing right now. He can't get anything done. And we have the debt ceiling coming up, which it's amazing how, I mean, the government may be shutting down 2 weeks from now. It's nice that Congress goes on vacation because they're only going to have 4 days to pass a bill that can't get passed when they get back. And then as soon as that happens, we have the debt ceiling. And oh, by the way, it's right during the French election when all this is going to be happening.
Yeah. Amazing.
You thought the Ides of March were bad.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like I said, you just can't make this stuff up, Andy. I mean, you really can't. But I think a lot of it's for show. I don't think it's real. The Korea thing, I think North Korea's outlived its usefulness to China, and there's nothing more dangerous than somebody who's being disposed of, who's disposable and doesn't know it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that situation shakes out. But I think at the end of the day, the crazy chia pet head guy will be gone, and we'll have some new paradigm in the Korean peninsula.
Well, it's not North Korea that's the issue. I mean, it's not like they're going to drop bombs. It's the issue of us bullying around China about the topic. And I mean, Jinping is in New York and or in Miami, and he's telling them what he's going to do. This is what you're going to do about trade, and what you're going to do about North Korea. I mean, this is our biggest creditor, and this is a guy who's doing everything he can to take power. I mean, he just signed this bilateral trade agreement with Russia where they're going to trade it out instead of dollars and gold. And, I just think that the trade relations of America and the world are going the way of the geopolitical relations. It looks like we, in fact, do have a Hillary Clinton, too. Someone, in fact, Hillary Clinton, with the exception of Russia, was actually more diplomatic than he's winding up being, which is a scary thing, because I've said all along, what America needs is not a fix. It needs a diplomat. And this is as far as we're getting from one.
Yeah. And yeah, well, that's for sure. And then we look at gold and silver, which is showing some real strength here, isn't it?
Yes, the 200-week moving average war. Anyone who's been reading or listening to me knows I've been fixating on this for weeks and weeks and weeks now, and I can't emphasize how important this is. And again, we're not talking about the 200-day moving average. We're talking about 200 weeks, which is 4 years. And believe me, this is, when people say, the 50-day moving average is nothing, you look at the 200-day. No, the 200-day moving average is nothing, especially because it's a short-term thing that can be painted by the cartel, and that's what they do all day long. But the 200-week is something that's very, very difficult to paint. In fact, the longer the term you're talking about, the harder it is to manipulate. And the more that you try to manipulate it, the more you create these massive support and resistance levels, which once broken are nearly impossible to break out of. For instance, from 2003 until 2013, gold and silver traded above their 200-week moving averages. We're talking about 10 years in a massive, massive bull market. And the only way that they were able to knock it back below it was that infamous closed door meeting, the only one he's ever had, Obama had on April 11, 2013, it was 15 of them. It's not just like JP Morgan. The top 15 too big to fail banks all met in a closed door meeting with Obama on April 11, 2013, that very same day. That same day, talk about chutzpah. Goldman Sachs puts out, never even seen this before, a aggressive short sell recommendation on gold. And sure enough, that was a Thursday. The following day, Friday and Monday, a 2-day thing, they knocked gold and silver down 10% with nothing going on. And that's what I call the alternative currencies destruction rate. Those raids were what pushed dollar price gold and silver below the 200-day week moving averages, where they stayed down until last year. They bottomed in December of 2015, ironically, on the day the Fed raised interest rates, which just shows you how the propaganda about rising rates and being bad for gold, how ridiculous it is. Not to mention how gold is done after the second rate rise and the third rate rise. Okay. But since then, most of the other gold priced in almost every other currency in the world is soared. In euros, it's only 13% from the all-time high right now. In yen, it's 9%. Mexican pesos, 5%. Canadian dollars, 10%. So for the most part, we're there. And then a lot of other currencies, it's way above. Russia, South Africa, Brazil, you name it. But anyway, we got briefly above that 200-week moving average right after the BrExit. Cartel comes in and smashes things. PPT saves a day. Then on election night, when Trump won, again, they went above the averages, and then Cartel came in and smashed it down again. And as always, prices bottomed right at the end of December, as they have done now for like 5 of the past 6 years, because that's what the Cartel does. They want to destroy the lives of any, money managers that invest in precious metals. Only this time, after all of the hype and the interest rate hikes and everything's great and the Trumpflation, look at this. We're back to the 200-week moving averages again. Mm-hmm. And what we've seen, forget the whole manipulation since election night, which is worse. It's worse than everything I've seen in my 15 years combined, except maybe the Sunday night massacre of silver back in 2011. I remember
we were talking then.
A couple of those. But anyway, what we've seen in the last few weeks has been off the charts. Fridays, alone, when you had this horrible NFP employment report and the Syrian attack, and they come in at the end of the day and smash silver by 30 cents in the last 15 minutes of COMEX trading, so that it trades under its 200-week moving average to end the week. But again, after all this, we're back up there again. And the levels for gold are 1246 and 1813 for silver. And on Monday, after Friday's heinous attack, which, they got silver down below it, but they only got gold to 1253 to close the week. So, of course, the COMEX opens and it plummets on Monday, meaning 2 days ago. And where did it bottom, Kerry? Exactly 1246.
Yep.
And then what do you know? Here we are 2 days later at 1274. Silver's rocketed up. It's at 1830. And it's getting to the point, interest rates, by the way, have plunged through critical support. In early January, when there were all-time record high short positions in Treasury bonds by the same traders that bet on gold being smashed and that the BrExit would fail. And I wrote my article, 2.5%, enough said. I said that 2.5% will be the top of the 10-year. Just like I said, 3% would be the top 3 years ago, and it was, because the market can't handle it anymore. And here we are, but at 2.3%, which is below the lowest level since the election, and gold is soaring, and of course the dollar is in limbo because, yes, there's a safe haven bid, but at the same time, the U.S. economy is falling apart. So the point is that, everything is going against the cartel right now. I wrote today about, in my audio blog, the physical supply and demand has never been tighter. I wrote a Silver Waterloo, Cartel's upcoming Silver Waterloo article this weekend, saying how the cartel has the all-time highest short position in silver that it's ever had in history. And we don't even have a crisis right now. That's how devastatingly scared they are. And this is on top of, in 2016, last year, where paper trading of paper, gold, and silver was up 50% from a year before. Worldwide, paper, gold, and silver, mostly COMEX and LBMA, in an attempt to hold prices down, and still they went up, and now they're increasing that amount of paper trading, and still prices are going up. And as Andy McGuire said, he's never seen the market tighter, and of course all these fundamental factors are paving the way for what's going to be an explosion at some time sooner rather than later.
Yeah, explosion sometime sooner than later, and that's our headline. And Andy, you couldn't have summed it up better. I mean, it's just when a system starts collapsing, when it gets to that pronounced state of collapse, reason and logic go out the window. Whether it's political, economic, social, nothing makes any sense any longer. We've hit that point now. And hey, just get a parachute, whether it's Bitcoin, gold and silver, or a combination of the two, which it probably should be. You need to be prepared, as well as having some cash, some self-defense tools, because hey, I just happened, was having a drink in Miami the other day, and it overlooked Biscayne Bay. And out of nowhere, a fireworks display started. And evidently it was somebody's wedding, because there was a huge yacht next to it. And the fireworks are beautiful, but those fireworks can start globally at any second, economically, militarily, socially, social unrest. And the case for preparation, Andy, has never been greater, while the populace has never been more complacent. They were much more up with things when I started this podcast, when you started 6 years ago. They were much more attuned and ready to take action. Now it's kind of like a zombie apocalypse out there, Andy.
Well, look, it's as I said, and I learned long ago on Wall Street about repeating key phrases so that people understand them or understand my view, and they start to get it into their consciousness. We are in the terminal stage of history's largest, most destructive fiat Ponzi scheme. There's never been a time in history where the entire world has been on a fiat standard. And at this point, every single nation's debt, whether it's the corporate level, the institutional level, the sovereign level, individual level, is at unsustainable levels, which is why they've had to push interest rates down to zero, or in some cases below, why they're thinking about banning cash because they don't want people hoarding it, and why all manner of draconian political and monetary and economic rules are spreading virally around the world, so that the people who started this can try to stay in power. And the fact is that with each passing day, more and more people in the world are affected by it, and the propaganda no longer works on them, even if they do manipulate the Dow Jones propaganda average, which the average person doesn't own anymore, as opposed to, like, say, 15 years before they lost their shirt in the .com and then the 2008 financial crisis, and of course the ensuing collapse of the economy, which is why we're voting in Donald Trump and Marine Le Pen and all these kind of people. The fact is, the people are fighting back. There are a lot more of us than there are on them. There's only a few avenues that they can do it, and this is one of the ways they can do it, is to, well, one, as you said, to personally prepare and be smart about educating yourself and figuring out what's most likely to occur, and then B, things like elections. Fortunately, we still have elections in a good part of the world, and as was proven by the Trump and the BrExit, they can't be rigged. They can try to be rigged, but that doesn't mean that the riggers can win. And, I fully expect that 12 months from now, the conversations we have won't even be in the realm of these kinds of conversations, because, the cancer will have spread and become malignant everywhere, including here in the States, politically, economically, and of course, monetarily. So people, I just don't know what more do I need to warn you of? Do you not see that we're on the brink of war, that we're on the brink of regime change, the collapse of the European Union, the biggest, economic disaster ever, debt defaults, currency implosions? They're happening serially. It's only a matter of time before it gets you.
Yep, exactly. And it'll be here soon enough. Anyway, we have to end it at that. Go over to milesfranklin.com. Check out Andy's daily missive and his frequent audio blogs. Come over to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for our newsletter. Just had one called Escape from New York. And more and more of you are doing it. Thank goodness. Just vote with your feet. Vote with your feet.
We certainly did, Kerry. We were talking about that yesterday. As you and I are New York survivors. I'm going to hit 10 years this year. You're going to hit 5 years, and we couldn't be happier with the decision. It's not just leaving New York per se. It's figuring out that there are easier ways to live for a lot of people in this country, and people need to start considering it.
Exactly. And if you remember, our good friend Wayne Allen Root wrote a book, How to Survive the Obama Economy, and one of his top tips, and he talked to a lot of wealthy people when he was compiling it. One of the top tips was move from a high tax state to a low tax state. And, certainly that's what Florida is. Colorado, I guess, to a lesser degree.
Colorado has the lowest property taxes in the country. Our state tax is not much lower than everyone else, but the cost of living, because of the low property taxes, is significantly lower on average.
Exactly. So, move to a low tax state, but that's all part of the preparation, I think, or what's going to happen. And you want states that I don't want to say are better run, because that's like, forget it. None of them are well run, but certainly aren't as mismanaged, grossly mismanaged as New York, California, New Jersey, Connecticut, Illinois, all of these blue states that are just going to collapse. I mean, free college for everyone, Andy, right? You got to love it.
Yeah, it's funny that you talk about that. You were talking about how they are now in New York. It's insane. They're going to actually give free college at the SUNY schools. And, I went to SUNY Albany, so I'm guessing that means SUNY Albany will become the most desirable college to go to in America pretty soon.
Yeah, in Binghamton, yeah.
Did I see in the bill that you said that people are going to be required to live and work in the state if they take those scholarships? Yeah. Is that right?
Right. So
for how long? For
instance, if you take the 4 years, you're going to be required to live and work in New York for 4 years, or it turns into a loan. You have to pay it back.
4 years. Okay.
So it's ransom. But look, if you're making any kind of money, and in New York, $125,000 is not a lot, because the cost
but no
of
one
living
makes
is so high.
That money in New York anymore. First of all, the Wall Street jobs are going away, and now the economy's falling apart. So who's going to make that money?
Yeah.
The whole thing is insane. New York is becoming California, and they can all join together and have their own countries and try to print their own money and see how it works.
Yeah. Good luck. It's going to work out great. But anyways, so hey, any questions, comments on this show, any others? KL@KerryLutz.com, KL@KerryLutz.com. We try to answer all of your emails. And hey, check out the Facebook page, Financial Survival Network, and the Twitter feeds @Kerry Lutz. We'll leave it at that, Andy. Have a good one.
You too.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to FinancialSurvivalNetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.